Good evening, everyone. Welcome. It's Monday night, and that's SimRace South Africa Division 1 night. And we're back already with the TCR Championship. It's the final round of the season. It's going to be super exciting. We're Tsukuba this evening in just on the very outskirts of Tokyo in Japan. And it's going to be a cracker. Last two races of the season in the very, very popular TCR. So I'm Daniel Haynes. I'll be taking you through it. Welcome to everyone in chat this evening. I'm on my own tonight, so if you want to ask any questions or have any shout outs, make sure to put it into chat and I'll make sure that you're all catered for. So we're just starting our qualifying session now, and we've got 15 minutes of qualifying. We know the drill before race 1, which is a 20-lap race, and then we're going to have race 2 straight afterwards with a reverse grid of the top 10 finishes of race 1, which has been pretty successful this season. This season. We've all thoroughly enjoyed race 2 and all the carnage that it's brought. A few surprise winners in race 2, and also a few well fought back from our championship leaders. So, how are we getting on? Let's see. 4 days, as usual, of HLQ. Guys getting into Division 1, making frantic use of the servers to post a time quick enough. How did they get on? Ross Bartle, he was our boy from the last round in Croft. He won both races in Croft, and he also topped our HLQ time here at Tsukuba as well. So a great time of 56.245, and I've actually seen him going faster than that in the first practice session before we just ticked over to HLQ. I think he clocked a 56 dead. So yeah, very, very quick. Matthew Boy did a fantastic HLQ, 56.426. Brett Krugkamp, Ross Bartle's partner, in third position. And then Nicholas Hodgson, a championship contender, in 4th place. We'll talk a little bit more about that later. Sean Bingham in 5th place, 56.557. Sharon Rajpaul had a great HLQ. Well done to him. Up into the top 6. Then Kieran Patterson, 7. Stephen Sparks, 8. Danny Miller, 9th. James Leach rounds out the top 10. Only 20 drivers because the pit boxes are slightly limited on this short circuit. So 20 in Division 1, there'll be 20 in Division 2 as well, and we've even got a Division 3 race on Wednesday. So that's how they fared in HLQ. Now, the big question, championship standings as we're going into the last round. Let's check them out. So you'll notice, very strangely, that in our entrance list for Division 1 this evening, there is no Jacques Botha, and he is our championship leader, so he cannot make this evening, so he's going to miss these 2 races. However, the championship points we see on screen right now, that is all the points that these drivers have scored in every race, 10 races up till now. And there are 4 drop rounds to count. 4 drop rounds. So their 4 worst performances will be taken off those championship points as we work out the actual final standings. So, to bore you, I've done all the calculations as we go into this. Jacques Botha will obviously be using 2 races this evening as drop rounds because he's not partaking. So, the end of it is that Nick Hodgson is the only other driver that could actually clinch this championship this evening. But to do so, he needs at least a 1st and a 2nd place. He's got to win 1 race and come 2nd in the other race. So that's what we're looking out for. Otherwise, Jacques Botha will be crowned TCR SimRace South Africa champion for this season. So it's all down to whether Nick Hodgson can win race 1, or at least come 2nd into race 1, and then now we'll see how we get on in race 2. The rest of the standings, unfortunately, there's so many calculations of all the drop rounds that people will have to wait until tomorrow when the official results are posted to see exactly where they finished in the season. But these are the top 22 drivers, so very well done just for getting into the top 22 of a list that's much, much longer than that. So this is effectively our Division 1 leaderboard. So well done to every driver that's partaken. So as we go back to our stream, we're just going to have a quick look at our track layout this evening. Tsukuba, not a very well-known track for a lot of people, but in the sim race community it's very well known actually, because it's It's a fan favourite from Forza Motorsport, right back in the day. Gran Turismo, it's featured. It's in iRacing as well. So no doubt, if you're familiar with sim racing, you've done quite a few laps around here. It's absolutely perfectly suited for these TCR cars. Very, very tight and twisty. A lot of hairpin corners. Turn 1, turn 4, turn 7. Massive hairpins, big braking zones. There's going to be all sorts of incidents through those. So we've got turn 1, big hairpin. 2 and 3 completely flat in these cars, so not too much of a worry. Very big U-shaped turn 4 hairpin. Difficult 90-degree right-hander in turn 5. 6 is a non-event. 7 again a big hairpin. Down the long back straight. And turn 8 is the one that's really tricky in these front-wheel drive cars. Super, super tricky. They can wash out wide. So I think as a result we're going to see most of the passes being attempted into turn 1 because people will be getting bad exits out of 8. And yeah, they'll be slingshotting up there. So that's my assessment of the track. But as always, we've got a hot lap done for us by courtesy of Nick Hodson. So let's take a little ride on board with Nick to see how he fared this week.
Alright everybody, welcome to a onboard flying lap of the Tsukuba circuit in the Hyundai World Touring Car, braking around the 50. This is the last corner of the track. We want to get a good exit, use our tyres as well, fresh rubber. First couple of laps is all you get on these, and braking just as we go up and over the hill. Keep the car tight through turn 1. You want to be tight and use it to get the best possible exit through the left, right, absolutely flat, braking at this right-handed curb. Get the car turned in nicely for what I refer to as turn 2. It probably isn't, but keep the car tight and fling the car through this right-hander. You want to carry as much speed as possible. This is where that fresh rubber comes in handy. You can keep flat on the power, no worries. Braking just on the left, you'll see that dark patch, and turn the car in nice and tight for the run down to the last corner. This is the longest straight on the track. That's why you want to get the nice tight line to get your acceleration early as possible. But again, braking just before the 50. Ride the understeer through this corner. Do not clip that curb. It will throw you off, and you can run the car wide, and across the line we go for a 56.526.
Thanks, Nick, for taking us through there. Makes it look so easy, doesn't he? And he's on track, and he's in second place so far. But Ross Bartle, our HLQ winner, is also our pole sitter currently with 56.218. We're just on board now with Nick Hodson, who's abandoned that lap. Let's see whether we can go. We've got 7 minutes left of qualifying. So we'll try and keep on anyone improving on their times. Check out the performance delta in the middle, and you can see whether they're up or down on their delta. So let's go through. We've got Peter Geldnes is not currently improving. It's like a lot of drivers on a slow lap or an out lap. We'll keep an eye out for others. Matthew Boy's just popped into third place. He's gone into the pits. Peter Geldnes is abandoned. I think it's quite such a tight, it looks already tight on stream that trying to find a slot to get your clean lap in may not be as easy as it has been in other rounds. So something to keep an eye on is we're just on board with James Leach right now. He's starting a fast lap. James Leach already finding himself in 5th position, and it looks like he's bailed out of that already. Let's go on board with Brett Krewkamp. Who is abandoning a lap. Seems like every time we go on board with someone, they abandon a lap. Stefan Herzl has also done exactly the same. I think if you don't get it right in turn 1, you abandon and you start again. Guys will be very familiar on where to find and lose time. Here, finally, Shownraj Paul is level at least on his delta. Just lost a little bit there. As he's coming into turn 7 now. and enters the back straight. But he's a tenth down on his delta, is Sharon Rajpaul. So unless he gets a very good final exit, final corner in turn 8, he is improving on entry, but it's compromised his exit. So he is not going to improve and will stay in 14th position. Kieran Patterson now is just commencing a lap. It's going to be some very, very quick races, like 20 lap races, but it's such a short circuit, only 56 seconds. So it's going to be blink and you miss it here. It's going to be interesting in race 2 with the reverse grid. Obviously a short race, very tight track. Will the leaders be able to work their way back? That's especially evident for Nick Hodgson, who needs to finish in first or second place in both races. Riding on board with Rainier Leach now. He is marginally up on his delta. You can see entrance to these hairpins. Can gain a lot of time. You lose so much on exit. Still very slightly up on his delta is Rainier Leach. Currently in 16th place. He's coming round turn 7 now. It's a bit wide through there. Lost a lot of time. 3 tenths down, but he did get a good exit onto the back straight. 2 tenths. See whether he improves in the final corner. Looks like so much time can be won or lost here in turn 8. Massively quick in the entrance, but we've seen how much that compromises his exit. Exactly the same here. Nearly 3 tenths down. He is not going to improve. Ross Bartle, in our current provisional pole sitter, is still out on track trying to improve his times. Nick Hodgson, this is interesting. He's slightly up on his delta. I think there's these tyres seem to only give 2 laps. Nick mentioned it in his hot lap video, so drivers are having to do an outlap, a slow outlap, 1 quick lap, and that's it. So that's why we're seeing so many cars not just constantly lapping. Croft, everyone was just going round and round and round in Croft and posting times from anywhere. So Nick is slightly up on his delta, but he's 2 tenths, more than 2 tenths down. So he needs quite a big improvement if he wants to get pole here. He is going to improve, but only marginally, and he stays in 2nd place. Clock on board with Matthew Boy, also very tight on his delta. Perhaps doesn't want to hinder his teammate too much, Matthew Boy here. Nick Hodgson knows exactly what's required of him if he wants to clinch this title this evening. I'm sure if Matthew does find himself in front of Nick, he will be letting his teammate pass. A lot at stake. Jack has had a fantastic season, it has to be said. He would be a very worthy winner. I think he's had 4 race wins, which is very, very commendable. So it hasn't been improved on by Matthew Boy. Kieran Patterson is currently in 5th position, but is not up on his delta. Sean Bingham is up in 6th, so not improved. Danny Miller in 7th. He had a fantastic second race. Only tried to hold on to it in Croft last round, but he eventually got tracked down by Ross Bartle. But it's a superb second race in round 5. So he'll be looking to build from that in this final round of the season. See if he can get something out of it. Currently finding himself in 7th position. But if he's anywhere around that 10th spot and on the reverse grid, that's one to watch out for in race 2, is Danny Miller. We got Wesley Ferrant back as well. He's been absent without a steering wheel for most of this season, but he's back, so it's good to have him back. He's in the top 10 already in Division 1, so with his new equipment, sure, he's just getting used to it. But that's a good show from Wesley Ferrant, so we'll watch out for him in the race. Yeah, I've got a few people in chat who have obviously been doing laps around here and commenting on how important that first corner is, and that's why we're seeing so many guys just bailing out of their lap if they're not happy with their first corner. Obviously, such a massive braking zone into that hairpin that if you mess it up, there's no point continuing your lap, you might as well start another one. But we've only got 30 seconds left now of this qualifying, so there'll be no chance to start another one here. This is last-ditch efforts we're looking at right now. Nick Hodgson is on a flyer. Probably his last attempt, and he is down on his delta, so he's not improving as it stands. Ross Bartels in the pits, so he seems happy with his 56.218. Slightly slower than his practice session earlier, but still a significant amount of time in TCR to have a quarter of a second. We saw in the HLQ leaderboards that the whole field was split by only 1 second. And here this evening, down to 18th place is still only a second. Nick Hodgson's not going to improve. He's going to start on the front row, though. Brett Krugkamp, let's see. He is jumped up into 3rd place. He usurped Matthew Boy, and he's up on his delta again. This could put a cat amok the pigeons if he could get in front of Nick Hodgson and protect Ross Bartel on the front row of the grid. So he's coming up to turn 7 now. And he's massively up on his delta, but he had a very compromised exit and lost the whole lot. He is gaining down the back straight, but he's going to need a killer turn 8 to make anything of this. He has. He's had a very good. He's going to slightly improve. No, he isn't. Compromised again. So Brett Krugkamp will be starting from 3rd place on the grid. Matthew Boy in 4th place. When we're back, we'll be starting race 1. Don't go away. Okay, we're on the starting grid for race 1 of round 6 at Tsukuba in Japan. Very tight circuit. We've got Ross Bartel with Nick Hodgson right next to him on the front row. Brett Krugkamp in 3rd place. Matthew Boy 4th place. Stefan Herbst in 5th. Kieran Patterson 6th. Lights come up on the screen. We're ready. Final round of the season. TCR, Sim Race South Africa. And we go. Nick Hodgson looked like he got a good start, but Ross Bartel was also off the line quite quick. Nick Hodgson got the inside line, though. Let's keep an eye on Nick here going into turn 1. Bit of carnage behind with Matthew Boy and Kieran Patterson. Brent Krugkamp as well was turned round. Brent Krugkamp, oh, there's all sorts of carnage going on here in turn 1. Brent Krugkamp, both the Patterson boys were turned round. Nick Hodgson, in the meantime, has managed to sneak ahead of Ross Bartel at the front of the field. Oh, there's a lot going on also in turn 4, I believe. Yeah, a lot of carnage in turn 4. We'll have to catch up. We're just interested to see what's happened right at the front in the meantime. Nick Hodgson managed to make a move on Ross Bartel, I think into turn 4, whilst we were looking at the carnage on the first corner. And yeah, Nick Hodgson's doing exactly what he needs to here in race 1. He is leading on the first lap. Ross Bartel's looking up the inside of turn 8 though. Final corner. We said there'd be a lot of passing into turn 1 braking zone. Ross Bartel's gone wide there. I think Nick's got the better run of it. And Nick will complete lap 1 in the lead. God, already on to lap 2 of 20. This is going to be a frantic session. There could be a lot missed here. I'll try and keep an eye on it as close as possible. I think Nick is probably safe for this lap. Let's just check back to see what happened with others. Danny Miller in the carnage got himself all the way up into 3rd place. Sean Bingham in 4th place. Stephen Sparks 5th. Shiran Rajpaul 6th. Kieran Patterson, I think it may have been Alan Patterson then that was involved in that massive carnage at the start, because Alan's all the way back in 17th and Kieran is still in 7th place. Brent Lindsay Ray in 8th. Louis van der Merwe in 9th. And Matthew Boy was the big loser all the way back down in 10th position. Let's see how Nick's getting on. He's got Ross Bartel right up the inside of the final corner as they go onto the start-finish straight into turn 1. Looks like Ross takes a very different line from Nick through that final corner. Just keep an eye on that. Ross is all over the back of Nick Hodgson, looking for a way through. We know he's got the speed based off his HLQ times and also his qualifying time here this evening. Our pole sits about a quarter of a second, quite substantial in the TCR Championship. We've seen a lot less gaps than that this season. But Nick Hodgson's trying to make that Hyundai i30 as wide as he possibly can. Not easy to pass here on all these slow corners if you cover and drive defensively. There's a bit of a lock up there for Nick Hodgson. Ross Bartels having a look up the inside. Slight contact there. Bartels up the inside. He'll have the inside line on the final corner, and we've seen how quick he is there. I think this pass could be made here. Nick Hodgson had a lock up into turn 7. He's forced wide on the final corner, and Bartels got the move made back into first place. He'll be covering the inside line into turn 1. Making sure Nick can't cut back on him, forcing Nick round the long way round, and Bartel up into first place. Nick needs to keep hold of the back of him as much as he possibly can. He needs to a win and a second place to keep his championship hopes alive. Danny Miller's not going anywhere either. He's not being dropped by any stretch of the imagination. All that battling between Bartel and Hodgson, Miller's allowed to work his way back up. He's in third place and he's only a second back. Sean Bingham in fourth position. It's going sideways, different approach around turn 7. He's going to have Stephen Sparks right up behind him now. Seems like guys have settled down a little bit, not so much of carnage. You've got Brent Krewkamp, who was a big loser at the start, along with Matthew Boy. He's made up a position. He's up into 9th place. And he's got Louis van der Merwe right behind him as well, and Matthew Boy, who's on a bit of a recovery drive, these two, in Krewkamp and Boy. They'll be very disappointed. We'll have to see exactly what happened in turn 1 in a replay after the race. I think there might be some race investigations lodged there. All we saw was cars flying everywhere as we were watching the leaders. Let's just check back in with our leaders. Nick Hodgson and Bartel are beginning to stretch their legs from Miller in third place. But Bartel, importantly, is keeping Hodgson at bay. Hodgson knows how important it is to get a win. This might be his best opportunity. He needs at least one win from the 2 races. I think it might be difficult to fight your way back. We've got Stephen Sparks in the background dropping very, very wide in turn 7, and he's lodged back into 7th place now. As we check in with gaps, what have we got? We've got Brent Lindsay-Ray is up behind Stephen Sparks after he made that mistake and dropped back. He's putting some pressure on him in the I-30. See how tight these hairpins are. It's actually not as easy to pass as we thought it would be. Cover that inside line and it's a long, long way around the outside to try and make a pass. Unlikely. Just need to drive defensively and smart, these guys, if you want to keep guys behind you. Nick Hodgson is being slightly dropped now from Bartel, it has to be said. He's struggling on his brakes into turn 7. That's what lost him the place last time round, and he was late on his brakes there and also a bit wide. And that's dropped him a second back from Bartel. I fear Bartel might be checking out now. 6 laps in, only 14 to go. Can't give Bartel clean track. We saw what happened when he had clean track at Croft, and he had a substantial lead by the end of race 1. He had to work his way through a bit of traffic at the start, but once he got clean track, he was unbeatable by anyone else that evening. Sean Bingham is still in 4th place. It's a great showing by Bingham and Miller this evening. 3rd and 4th position as it stands. Miller might not be making the most of round 2 reverse grid because he's going to be put further back than where he's finished in race 1 at this rate. Trying to get a podium in race 1. Kieran Patterson's got himself up into 6th place. So he's gained a spot because Sparks went wide and off the track. Shiran Raspol's also up into 5th position. As we check back with some of our quick guys that were obviously affected in lap 1, we've got Boy is fighting it out here at the inside of Wesley Front. Boy's still in 12th place so far. Stefan Hertz has just sent it up the inside of turn 1, taking a very different line. I'm not sure he was on the track there, and he's actually been spun round. So, yeah, you can't go up the inside line when it's already being covered, Stefan. You might want to wait a little bit, because you've ended up losing a spot to Peter Geldernes in 13th place. Wesley Ferrand is currently all over the back of Louis van der Merwe, fighting over 10th spot. We know how important that 10th place is. You finish in 10th, you'll start on pole, and that could give you a fantastic opportunity in race 2. So these guys that have been affected, Matthew Boy especially, if he can just get himself up into 10th position, he can at least salvage something from race 2 in this round. In the meantime, Bartel is stretching his lead slowly but surely. 1.6 seconds it stands to Nick Hodgson in second place. And both of these two drivers are stretching away from Danny Miller now in the final podium position with a gap of 3.6 seconds in just a few laps. That's really grown. Sean Bingham, in the meantime, is keeping up with Danny Miller. He sees a podium place up for grabs here in race 1. Would love to grab it. So he'll be trying to track down Danny Miller. Has to be said, for such a tight circuit, the gaps are starting to form, and there's not too many close battles. We've got to go down to sort of Matthew Boy, who's still trying to fight his way through to get a real close battle on track. All the rest of the gaps are sort of hovering around about a second. But Matthew Boy, desperate to claw back a couple of places. They're all scrapping for 10th place, and we're halfway through race 1 already. 10 laps down, 10 to go. Kieran Patterson is just starting to catch up to Shiran Rajpaul in 5th place. Not quite sure. I'm sure I saw both Patterson cars off the circuit in lap 1, but Kieran clearly wasn't affected as much as Alan, who's all the way back into 16th place. Having a bit of a nightmare is Alan Patterson. Kieran Patterson still finds himself in 6th position, and he has jumped places since the start. He's trying to track down Shiraz Rajpaul for a 5th place finish. Wesley Ferrand just set his fastest lap of the race and is moved up into 10th place, so he did get Louis van der Merwe in the end. He'll be keen to keep hold of that 10th position. We've been saying all season long in race 1, when you're in 10th, if you're comfortable, maybe just hold on to it and see what you can do in race 2. Still pushing hard is Wesley Ferrand, just clipping the grass. As we go to Nick Hodgson, who is just finding it too tough to hold on to the back of Bartel's Audi. Gaps over 2 seconds now. I think he might be slightly resigned for a 2nd place finish, will Nick Hodgson. Knowing then that he's got it all to do in the final race. Just check into this group a little bit further back. A bit of a train forming here behind Louis van der Merwe, Matthew Boy, Peter Geldernes, Stefan. They're all there. Tight between these 4 cars. Still enough time to maybe work up a few positions. You can get up into 10th place. That would mean everything to all of these drivers. Nothing worse than finishing 11th in race 1, because that's exactly where you're going to start in race 2. Riding on board now with Stefan. Got a very good exit on Peter Geldernes as we come up into turn 8, the final corner. Different sort of lines can be had through here. Stefan trying to go quite tight, but Peter Geldernes has placed his Audi very well. Hasn't compromised himself into the difficult braking zone of turn 1. I think unfortunately Stefan got that a bit wrong, and he's had to bail out a bit there. So he's dropped down, actually. In fact, he's dropped to pits. So something's happened to Stefan Herbst. He's all the way back. He's actually retired to pits from something into turn 1. Maybe equipment failure, possibly. It looked suspiciously like. In the meantime, Ross Bartel, he lost his position in lap 1. Had to claw it back. He did it very safely, has to be said. Very nice passing maneuver. And now he is off into the distance, because Nick Hodgson is 3 seconds back. So this is looking very ominous for a Bartel. 3 race wins in a row coming up if he can just complete the next 6 laps cleanly. Doesn't need to push too much. Wants to just keep an eye on that gap and not really take any unnecessary risks. Danny Miller has got Sean Bingham very close. Sean Bingham had to sort of bail out there. He outbraked himself. Now he's got Sharon Rouse-Poole right beside him. Sharon Rouse-Poole, let's just go on board with him as he's trying to track down Sean Bingham coming into the final corner. Bingham sort of got it all wrong into turn 7. And that's allowed Rouse-Poole to really catch up onto the back of that Audi. Difficult corner into turn 1. A lot of drivers make mistakes there. But Sean Bingham seems to have collected himself and is trying to track down Miller with only 5 laps remaining already of race 1. So Bingham's got a gap of half a second to Miller. This is where he got it wrong last lap in turn 7. Just outbraked himself. Very easy to do in that heavy braking zone. Yeah, Stefan unfortunately is disconnected from the service. I fear he's had equipment failure. We'll have to find out after the race perhaps what happened to Stefan Herbst, because he is now left the server and will be a DNF for race 1. Hopefully he can maybe get back for race 2, but he's only got 4 laps to do so. So the first and second places look pretty nailed down for race 1. The battle here is who's going to get the final podium spot. Will it be Miller, Bingham, or even Rouse-Poole in 5th place? Is up for grabs for any of these 3 drivers. Frantic 4 laps to go. Miller looks, we saw him very calm and collected in Croft. He had a superb second race. It took a lot of pressure from Bartel to finally get the move made. So he's used to a bit of pressure, is Danny Miller. He won't mind it at all. He'll just cover his lines where he needs to. Sean Bingham's going to have to overtake with pace. I don't think he's going to get too many mistakes in Miller. Rouse-Poole is waiting for anything to happen, because these two come together in any which way. And certainly Miller will be... Rouse-Poole will be there to pick up the pieces. Tight behind Bingham is Rouse-Poole. Ominously, Kieran Patterson in the background as well in 6th place. Wesley Ferrant's got all the way up into 8th, just made a pass on Brent Lindsay-Ray. We're just going to stick with these 3 drivers just to see how the podium places finish, because Bartel has got such a substantial lead in 1st place. 4.5 seconds now back to Nick Hodgson. Hodgson has at least got a 2nd place. It could have been much worse. And he'll have Bartel behind him in race 2. And he needs to keep him behind him as well if he wants to win this championship. Bartel just did a 56.6 and a 57.1. So there's the difference. Nick Hodgson half a second slower in that 1 lap alone. I think Hodgson has resigned himself for 2nd place. Maybe just cruising around, make sure to secure it. He knows he needs at least 1 2nd place finish. Bingham is looking every which way he can, and so is Rouse-Poole, but these TCR cars are looking incredibly wide on this tight little Tsukuba circuit. I was expecting much easier overtaking here, I have to say. Proving itself more difficult than expected. think Raj Paul is tight behind Bingham. You're right on ball with Raj Paul in 5th position. As we're on lap 19 already, only a lap to go. Podium place is up for grabs here between these two. Doesn't seem to be any way to make a pass. Brett Krugkamp, he's got himself up into 10th place, the coveted 10th spot. Currently looking to start race 2 from pole position as Brett Krugkamp. That could be ominous because he's a quick guy out of position in race 1. And if he gets a clear track in front of him, he could really make the most of that pole position. So that might not be what Nick Hodgson wants for race 2, but we'll see how they finish. Brent Lindsay Ray is 9th position, so he'll be starting front row as well if it finishes in that state. Leader in Ross Bartle is just starting the final lap now. It's been a bit of a masterclass from Bartle again. He's got, what's the gap? We're just waiting for Hodgson's time just to leave our timing screens. 5.8 seconds on such a tight circuit as this is a very handy lead. And Ross Bartle is coming round turn 5 now. Yeah, turn 5, 6 into the final hairpin of turn 7. He's coming up. Nick Hodgson is behind by nearly 6 seconds, but he has got his 2nd place. The championship standings is going to go all the way down to the final race. We've had 12 races. It's going to go down to the last one. We'll be keeping a clean eye on that as Ross Bartle comes round the final corner of the final lap of race 1, and he takes a very well-deserved victory. Well done to Ross Bartle. Nick Hodgson follows for his 2nd place. He's got it all to do in race 2. Danny Miller, will he hold out? Looks like he will for his podium spot. Great drive from Miller. Stayed out of all the carnage in race 1, and he will come through to get the podium positions, closely followed by Sean Bingham and Shiraz Raj Paul. They just couldn't get it done. Kieran Patterson, 6th place. Stephen Sparks, 7th. Wesley Ferrant, on his return, 8th position. Well done to him. Look how close it is between Brent Lindsay Ray and Brett Krugkamp. They come across in 9th and 10th place, and they will form the front row of the grid. So, sure, that's race 1 done. We'll be back for race 2. Don't go anywhere. So we're back. We're just waiting for the drivers to flip to the grid, and they will prepare for race 2. And we're going to have Brent Krugkamp and Brett Krugkamp and Brent Lindsay Ray on the front row of the grid. Wesley Ferrant, Stephen Sparks will be on the 2nd row. Kieran Patterson, Sharon Raj Paul, 3rd row. Sean Bingham, Danny Miller, 4th row. And then Nick Hodgson and Ross Bartle will be on the 5th row of the grid, trying to fight their way through the field. Critically important for Nick Hodgson to get a great start. Feel like he's got to make quite a few places in lap 1 if he's going to win this race. So we've got a 50-second cooldown. We had a bit of a larger gap than we usually do between races. So I'll give Brett Krugkamp on the starting row a bit of a time to sweat, collect his thoughts, prepare. It's always risky here because the pole sitter is on the outside into turn 1. So you've got to feel that Brent Lindsay Ray has a superb chance of taking a spot. And we saw Nick Hodgson took the position on lap 1 in race 1, so it's not an advantage. Doesn't seem to me to be such a huge advantage to be on pole at this circuit when you're actually on the wrong side of the track. So lights on, final race of the season, TCR. Go, off we go. Looks like Brent Lindsay-Ray got a superb start up the inside. If he's got his nose ahead on the inside, he'll definitely be looking to make a pass here. And he has. He's up into, in fact, Brett Crewcamp's dropped all the way back into third spot. So we've got Brent Lindsay-Ray into first position. Stephen Sparks had a flyer as well. That inside line was critically important. Oh, we just got tapped by Brett Crewcamp by one of the Patterson guys, Kieran Patterson. Just got Crewcamp slightly turned round. And Brent Lindsay-Ray is he's off. He's managed to have a superb start to race 2, and he was a winner of a race 2 on the very first round of the season as well. So he knows how to drive, does Brent Lindsay-Ray. How did I'm just looking to see Nick Hodgson. What a nightmare he's had. 13th position. This is critical for Nick Hodgson. We said he needed to gain spots. Well, we got Sean Bingham, I think, just going into the wall. Went a bit too fast there, so Sean Bingham's out of race 2. Nick Hodgson, he's in 11th spot. He's gone one spot backwards. Not what he wanted whatsoever. So he needs to win this race if he wants to keep his championship hopes alive. Ross Bartle also didn't have a great start, though, because he's down in 14th position. So those leaders were struggling in the mid-pack. Got Nick Hodgson going wide. Got himself back up to 10th. I think that was Peter Geldnes. Yeah, I think Peter Geldnes went off the circuit there. So let's just remind ourselves how we stand after the second lap already. Brent Lindsay-Ray, closely followed by Stephen Sparks. 2 big winners at the start here. Brett Crewcamp dropped back 2 places in 3rd place. Danny Miller, he's having a great night, isn't he? 4th place. Got a podium. He could be on for a double podium here, could Danny Miller. Up into 4th place. Master of the starts is Danny Miller. Kieran Patterson, 5th position, so he's had a 6 in the first race, and he's up into 5th already into race 2. Shiran Rajpaul, no, we got Kieran Patterson, yeah, 5th, sorry. Shiran Rajpaul, my timing screen just went a little bit haywire there, in 6th place. Alan Patterson, we haven't seen him all night. We don't know what happened to him, but he's up into 7th in race 2 at least, so putting it all on the line for race 2. Forget race 1. James Leach, 8th position. Wesley Ferrant in 9th. Nick Hodgson still in 10th. Gotta feel Nick's gotta gain places quickly. Every lap he goes round with the leaders stretching away from him will be a nail in his championship coffin. Nick Hodgson's got all to do, looking to try and get past Wesley Ferrant. It's not going to be easy. He's got the inside line. He had a good drive out of turn 7. Coming up to the final corner. Feel like Nick's got to make some risks here. He's got to take some risks. It's either first or nothing for Nick Hodgson. Right, glued up the side of Wesley Ferrant is Nick. Just maybe perhaps just go on board with him. He's got Tash van der Westhuizen behind him in 10th spot as well for company. Having a look up the inside. Might get 2 spots here. He's got Alan Patterson. He's got past Wesley Ferrant, and he's got Alan Patterson as well. Look around the outside of Alan. I think Nick's doing exactly what he needs to. He's just got to force his way through this field if he's got any chance of a win. Up into 7th spot. We got one car off parked in the grass. Not quite sure who that was. Nick Hodgson's now putting pressure on Alan Patterson. Brent Lindsay-Ray in the meantime is not taking everything. We've got Brett Crewcamp has got up into 2nd spot, or he's just making a pass on Stephen Sparks. Now, oh, that was he's taken out the leader. Brett Crewcamp, he was tapped by Stephen Sparks, was completely out of control, and he's ended up taking out the leader. Let's see if we can get that on replay. So I think Brett Crewcamp, he come round and he got tapped by Sparks. He just completely lost control and just ended up T-boning Brent Lindsay-Ray. So this has completely messed up the lead of the race for Brent Lindsay-Ray. And we've got Stephen Sparks now, who's got a very comfortable lead from nowhere. 4.5 seconds, Stephen Sparks. Could he run away with a race victory here at Tsukuba? We've not seen much of Stephen Sparks all season. But if he's ever going to have a golden opportunity, it's now. 15 laps to go. He's got 5 laps to hold on to. Brent Lindsay Ray seems to be back on circuit without too much of an issue. Brent Krugkamp has obviously allowed him to rejoin ahead of him as the causer of that accident. But we'll see whether he's got any damage as Lindsay Ray. Krugkamp is following him closely behind in second. Don't think that was all Krugkamp's fault, to be fair. He was not in control of that Audi as it spearheaded through turn 1. Kieran Patterson is ominously behind as well in 4th place, followed by James Leach in 5th. So, where we want to check in with Nick Hodgson, don't we? Nick Hodgson is still frustratingly stuck behind Alan Patterson. It's been a few laps now. I think the laps are ticking down too quickly for Nick Hodgson in this race. He had a great corner there, and Alan went very, very wide. I think Nick's got the inside line covered here. Might have the pass made. Should move up into 6th place. They go around turn 8. It's going to have to force Alan wide. Giving him plenty of space, but yeah, Nick Hodgson's got the pass done. So Nick's moved up into 2nd place. Bartle is all the way back down into 10th, so he's not having as much luck in race 2. So Hodgson's got to put the hammer down now. The biggest problem for him is that 4 seconds from Sparks to Lindsay Ray in 1st to 2nd place. 2 second places is not enough for Nick Hodgson this evening. That's not enough. Jack Botha will be crowned championship of the TCR series. He needs a 1st place or nothing, does Nick Hodgson. Next victim is James Leach, but he is 1.6 seconds up the road and there is only 13 laps remaining. Stephen Sparks is maintaining his 4.5 second gap back to Brent Lindsay Ray in 2nd place. Brett Krugkamp has not managed to make another pass on Lindsay Ray. I think he'll be a bit wary about where he does so. A bit unfortunate for Lindsay Ray. He was doing very well at the front. He wouldn't have known anything about that. He'd be merrily going around turn 1 and all of a sudden he's got an Audi right into his side door. Yeah, I've just noticed that we've lost Danny Miller, DNF, because I suddenly see him in chat and he lost connection to the server. That's super unfortunate. Well done, Danny Miller, on a great race, though. You had a great race 1. And yeah, you looked solid start in race 2 as well. So yeah, disconnecting from the server is almost like mechanical failure in a real race. Very, very unfortunate. No one likes to see that. So we got Brett Krugkamp is still piling on the pressure to Lindsay Ray. Looking for a clean passing opportunity. Got Kieran Patterson as well behind, weaving about Krugkamp. Bit of a train forming here behind Lindsay Ray. Difficult to pass here at Tsukuba. That's the opposite of what I was expecting. Oh, we got Lindsay Ray getting a bit sideways there. He managed to collect it though. Doesn't seem to have lost too much time. Turn 4, he was pretty sideways through there. Krugkamp wasn't close enough to capitalise. Sparks is stretching his lead now, 4.8 seconds. And Nick Hodgson is not... He has clawed the gap. He has 1.7 to James Leach. He's got it down to half a second. But he's at the back of this train that's formed behind Lindsay Ray. And he's got to clear these cars as quickly as possible. He's only got 10 laps remaining. We're talking 10 minutes of driving here. Championship, it's all come down to the last 10 minutes of the season. Especially if Nick Hodgson can pass some of these cars quickly. Got James Leach though. Doesn't seem anywhere near as easy as we thought it would be. Once you cover that inside line into these hairpins. Well, Leach has got it a bit messed up into turn 4. But yeah, even then you see it doesn't allow Hodgson any way to pass. Hodgson probably had to lift if anything. Yeah, so coming around the final corner now. Sorry, turn 7, final hairpin. So they go down the back straight. Got Kieran Patterson out to the side of, looking up the inside of Brett Krugkamp. He's going to dive bomb it up the turn 8. He has indeed. But no, he hasn't. He stays positioned now. It's gone wide. looking up the inside of turn 1 on Brett Crewcamp. Sort of forced that matter a bit. Crewcamp's been turned round. Hodgson's gone through in the meantime. Oh, Hodgson's getting involved here with Kieran Patterson. Bit of a track. Hodgson just tried to carry on going, but I'm not sure there was anywhere to go. And now we got Patterson off again in the wall. Kieran Patterson's had an absolute nightmare, and it's affecting other drivers. He's blocking the track now. He needs to get his car off the track as quickly as possible. Alan Patterson's still going in 10th place, but that carnage did allow Nick Hodgson to clear a couple of cars. He's up into 4th position. Just notice Stephen Sparks' gap to Lindsay Ray dropped substantially, 2.8 seconds. It was over 5 seconds. This championship could come all the way down to the wire here. Nick Hodgson's got to pass 3 cars to be crowned champion of the TCR in this season. And he's got past the little train that was really holding him up. So Nick Hodgson's got it all to do. He needs the quickest laps of his evening. Qualifying laps here. 8 laps to go. And he needs to try and pass Brett Crewcamp and Lindsay Ray as quickly as possible. I fear he might have left himself a bit too much to do. It was that start, the start of race 2. He dropped places rather than gaining. He needed to gain 2 or 3 places right at the start to really have a solid chance. Stephen Sparks, I think, made a mistake somewhere because he lost a chunk of time. Now he's slowly gaining it back again. I don't think it was Lindsay Ray clawing him back in. I think it was a mistake from Sparks. He'll be slightly concerned about that, but he's composing himself. He's got 8 laps to go and he's still got 3.3 seconds. He's got to be the sure-on favourite to win race 2. And Lindsay Ray's just managed to stretch away from Crewcamp. Crewcamp was involved with, again, he's had a very entertaining night, has Crewcamp. Been involved with all sorts. Certainly hasn't been clean by any stretch of the imagination. Nick Hodgson is trying to track him down, but he's 1.2 seconds still back. Only 7 laps to go. I'm pretty sure there's not enough time here for Nick Hodgson. Jack Botha might be at home watching nervously at times, but he'll be getting more and more relaxed as every lap goes past. And Nick Hodgson doesn't gain a spot because 2nd place is not good enough. Wesley Ferrant is up into 6th position on his return to Sim Race South Africa. Always good to have Wesley back, an old timer. Getting to grips with his new equipment, is doing well. Ross Bartle's got himself up from nowhere into 5th. I don't know what I've been doing, not noticing Ross. Obviously, with all those cars carnage into turn 1 a little while back, he's managed to feed his way through, and he's up behind Nick Hodgson. So Ross Bartle, that's the last thing Nick wants, is pressure from Ross. And he's gone a bit wide there, has Nick Hodgson in turn 4. Coming around the right hand of turn 5 now. It's only 6 laps to go. And we've got Nick Hodgson just being shoulder barged, trying to shoulder barge his way through Brett Crewcamp. He knows he's got to have it done. He's got the inside line to the final corner though. Can he make it stick? It looks like he might do. And it looks like Bartle might follow him through here. Hodgson's moved himself up into 3rd place, but 3rd is not enough. Bartle has followed him his way through and got past Crewcamp. So Bartle's up into 4th place as well. Had a terrible start to this race, did Ross Bartle. We saw him all the way back down into 14th. But somehow he's managed to claw himself right back into contention. So Hodgson's 8/10 behind Lindsay Ray. But the big problem is that 4.6 seconds to Stephen Sparks in 1st place, who's managed to rebuild his lead that he lost. 5 laps to go. Could the impossible happen? Could Nick get past Lindsay Ray and track down Sparks without Bartle affecting him? We didn't think Bartle was going to be a problem for Hodgson in race 2 when he had such a poor start. But that doesn't look like it's going to be the case in these last 4 laps of the race. Bartle joined obviously mid-season, so he has no aspirations for the championship. But he's causing a bit of a problem for Nick Hodgson, who does. as he's looking left, right, round. Which way can he get past Hodgson? Hodgson taking an incredibly tight line through turn 4, making sure he covers that inside line. 5.4 seconds is Sparks to Lindsay Ray ahead though. Hodgson is pushing so hard, he's made a mistake. He's gone wide of turn 5. Come back on track, and Bartle wasn't able to capitalise from it though, but it's I feel Hodgson is giving it everything he possibly can. He knows he needs a win here, but all he's managing to do is just about keep Bartle behind him. He actually lost time to Lindsay Ray, and Sparks has had a superb race. I mean, he was slightly fortunate to stay away from that trouble, but he's made it count. He's stretched his lead, he lost it a bit, and he stretched it back again. 6.1 seconds. He's really enjoying himself in race 2 as Stephen Sparks. I know he's been tangled up with quite a few incidents this season, so I think he'll be feeling that this is justification for his efforts of the season, as he looks shoo-in for a win here in race 2 as Tsukuba. Final race of the season. What a way to do it. That gives you a great feeling in the off season as you prepare for the next season. In the background I'm seeing Nick Hodgson, and we've got, is that Lindsay Ray? I think Lindsay Ray's off the track. He's dropped back. Lindsay Ray's dropped back. Hodgson's up the inside of crew camp. Bartle obviously dropped back as well. Hodgson's in second place now. Second place is not enough for Nick Hodgson. 2 laps to go. Got himself, that must be agonising. He's 1 place behind the championship, but there's 7.6 seconds between him and the championship title. Unless there's something dramatic happens to Sparks, it's not going to happen. It's going to be 2 second places for Hodgson. He needed a win in race. He needed a win in race 1 ideally. I do think there's going to be quite a few incident reports this evening, but I don't think our leaders of either race has been involved in any of them. Ross Bartle certainly wasn't involved in an incident in race 1, and Stephen Sparks had an incredibly clean race 2 as well. So Nick Hodgson's not going to get promoted. He's pretty sure he's going to be stuck with second place and second place. You've got Raj Port, who was seeing up the inside. It was Shiran Razpal who took the inside of Wesley Ferrant. Ferrant's now side by side as they go up into turn 1. He's got the outside line though. Rajpal's looking on the inside, and Ferrant managed to get it moved on the outside. Great pass from Wesley Ferrant. Got his 5th place back as quickly as he lost it. So he's trying to hold on to that 5th place is Wesley Ferrant. Let's just keep a very close eye on the front. I think it's going to be all over. 7.3 seconds Sparks is to Hodgson. Hodgson has managed to stretch himself just a little bit of comfort space from Bartle behind. Not substantial by any means, but at least he doesn't have to keep such a keen eye in his rear view mirror. But he's run out of laps, has Nick Hodgson. 2 laps to go. It looks like it's going to be a second's place. Sparks has been epic. He's on the final lap of the race. Final lap of the season. So Hodgson is going to probably get second spot. We're just going to stay on board with Stephen Sparks as he enjoys this moment on race 2, final race of the season. And yeah, he's been superb in this. He had a great start. He gained a couple of spots. That inside line, we saw how important that was in race 2. Also in race 1, actually. Pole sitter was a little bit of a disadvantage out on the outside. And Stephen Sparks on the second row of the grid managed to work his way up. And yeah, after the incident, he found himself with a fortunate 1st place. But he's made it his own. And he's coming around the final corner now, and he will win this final race of the season. Congratulations to Stephen Sparks. Nick Hodgson, what a season he's had, it has to be said. But he's going to finish 2nd in the championship. So he narrowly comes through 2nd as Ross Bartle tight behind him for 3rd place. Crew Camp 3rd. Wesley Ferrant got up into 4th place. No, he's 5th, sorry. Bartle Crew Camp. Wesley Ferrant 5th. Sharon Razpal 6th. Alan Patterson finishes in 7th place. Brent Lindsay Ray 8th, Rainier Leach 9th, Matthew Boy completes the top 10. So guys, that was Sim Race South Africa TCR Championship. I hope you really enjoyed the 6 rounds. It was a new addition for us, and I think it's been a welcome addition from everyone. There's been a lot of people partaking, a lot of people viewing. It's been super interesting to watch. Been very, very close racing. A little bit naughty at times, but with the 4 drop rounds and how tight the racing is, I think that can be forgiven a little bit. If anyone wants to have a go, you can still, not too late to sign up. We've only got a couple of races left for the season, but just familiarise yourself at the website. So simracesa.co.za, all the information is on there, but we will have a new season in the new year. And I'm not 100% sure, but I think due to the popularity of this TCR Championship, I wouldn't be surprised if it gets another showing and guys can get a second attempt. But we've very much enjoyed our time. Now the season's not over though. We will be back next week, I think, with our ACC final round. That's going to be super important. I think there's a lot to play for there as well. 90-minute race, very different sort of feel to this TCR Championship, but our flagship event in Assetto Corsa Competizione, so please join us back. Me and Jason will be in the commentary booth for that one. And yeah, so it's been a superb race. I'd just like to thank everyone for joining in and supporting us, supporting our chosen charity, the Warmer Angel Projects. The money raised has been fantastic for that as well. So I think we can all be very proud of the season that we've had. And yeah, thanks so much for joining us in. And I look forward to seeing you very, very soon. But in the meantime, drive safe and go well.